happening, folks? Thanks for tuning into MMANYC. It's been a minute. I'm your host, Jody Smith, and this is my long-lost running partner in MMA, PJ Chu.
PJ Chu. Happy Memorial Day weekend, MMA nerds.
Most recently, you've been like an international man of leisure, so it's been hard to do a show.
I'm sorry, guys. You know, I got to do what I got to do. You know,
Traveling. In any case, we're going to do a little 130 UFC recap, and we're going to talk about a couple of upcoming fights. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and do this. First up, Rampage Hamill. What you got to say, man?
I don't know. Rampage looked good. He looked focused. I was watching all of his pre-fight documentaries, and he looked you know, slim. He looked like he had a six-pack going. I know he stopped eating cheese, and so, you know, he looked good. You know.
He did look good, man. He's a solid guy. He's got big power, but he didn't have enough to finish off Hamill, you know, which is a testament to how tough Hamill is. And as I recall, I think you once referred to him as a human punching bag, you cruel bastard. Picking on deaf guys, this fucking guy.
I don't know. Hamill, I know Rampage said he had the hardest head he ever hit, you know, but I was hoping for a knockout, but
I was too.
But Rampage, he looked good, and I think he fights John Jones next. What do you think?
I would say that he probably gets the winner of Rashad Evans and Phil Davis, which is coming up. Either way, I think it's a win-win situation. People would be happy to see another rematch with Rashad. That's always a good fight. And everyone's interested to see where Phil Davis is at in the light heavyweight division. So I think it's hard to argue against the top four guys being Rampage, Rashad, John Jones, Phil Davis, and then I think you have to throw Machida in there to see where he fits into that. But time will tell. We'll see.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of black-on-black crime there. Phil Davis, John Jones, but you know.
Absolutely. The second fight we're going to talk about is going to be Frank Mir versus Big Country. My boy, Big Country, you look like a fucking walrus out there. You need to get 60 pounds of lard surgically removed so you can fight at light heavyweight.
I think you can make middleweight, honestly. Like, I love Big Country. I love his mullet. I love his whole. You know, he's a complete fighter. But
yeah. Self-deprecating fat guys are always fun, and people will always embrace them. That said, I think it's time to cut a little bit of the fat out, my man.
Yeah, he's a complete fighter, but Frank Mir is also a complete fighter, and Frank Mir did his thing last night.
What impressed me about Frank Mir last night is that previously, when put into kind of a dog fight, kind of dirty boxing style fight, Frank Mir doesn't always persevere. I mean, we saw that with Brock Lesnar and Shane Carwin, who granted are bigger guys than Big Country. But I think what I'm getting at is that Frank Mir is finally at a place where physically he is as big as he needs to be, and he still has his speed. So I think whatever he's doing right, and he looks good. And remember this, one thing that he has that Lesnar and Carwin don't have is head kicks. So remember that.
Right. I totally agree with you. I think he was fluctuating in weight. He was trying to figure out what was the best fighting weight for him, and he's figured it out. You know,
he's got it.
You know, he's not too skinny. He's not too big. You know, with that speed, he's dangerous.
He looks killer.
I would love to see him fight Brock Lesnar, you know, when he comes back.
Yes. Yeah, from diverticulitis. Yeah. He just had like 4 feet of his colon removed, that guy.
He's got, Brock, you got to eat your veggies, bro.
That's right. It's time to get your shit together, Brock. No pun intended.
Get that fiber.
Next fight we're going to talk about, it's got to be Thiago Alves versus Rick Story, man. Rick Story, crazy son of a bitch, called out Thiago Alves. Man, Rick Story lived up to the hype, or is self-described as a Sherman tank, and I think that's exactly what he looked like.
That just shows like how important it is to believe in yourself, call people out. You know, a lot of people were thinking Thiago Alves was gonna run through him. You know, but with Muay Thai, with some the clinch and knee him in the head. But Rick Story did his thing. He was a tough guy, and Alves looked great. You know,
he did.
You know, after going on the Dolce diet, you know, he has no trouble with making weight, and he looked lean and fast. But seems like Rick Story was the better man last night.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's no shortage of guys to match Rick Story up with in the welterweight division going forward. Anyone from John Fitch to BJ Penn to Jake Shields to Jake Ellenberger. There's no shortage of guys out there. So we'll see what happens. And what's going to happen with GSP and Diaz, man?
I don't know. I'm hoping for. I really think that's the fight that's going to happen. Nick Diaz is going to fight GSP, and that's going to be the first strike. They're going to start fighting Strikeforce. You know, we'll see Overeem maybe fight Cain Velasquez. You know, if he wins
Overeem will get fucked up by Velasquez.
I don't know, man. I got Overeem. I got Overeem.
You're crazy,
oh, man.
dude.
Come on, dude. Overeem.
$10 right the fuck now.
Yo, dude, you're gonna lose again, man. Overeem, all right, we're going off on a tangent, but Overeem will beat Cain Velasquez.
No way, man. Cain's gonna come back and
he'll knock his head off.
Ass. Bullshit. So earlier in the week, I spoke to my buddy Samson Styles about Thiago Alves. Let's see what he had to say about that.
I want to talk to Samson.
Thiago Alves. The name is even hard to pronounce. He'll bust your ass because he's from Brazil. Brazil motherfuckers have it hard there. You think it's hard in Brooklyn? Go to Brazil and those fucking favelas over there. He'll fuck you up. That's why they call him the Pit Bull.
Well, in the end, Samson was right about a few things, but apparently not enough to have him beat Rick Story, so too bad. All right, Stefan Struve, the fucking skyscraper, gangly motherfucker, and against Travis Brown, who 6'7", not a little guy at all.
Not at all, but you know, Struve's my boy, you know, I was hoping that he would win, but he got knocked the F out.
He big time. He got put into Gumby land, as they say. He just looked like it's like chopping a tree down, man. That was crazy. Travis Brown rocked him. I'm interested to see what's going to be next for Travis Brown. You know, there's guys like Brandon Schaub and Matt Mitrione that have fights right now, but we'll see the winner of those guys win. I think they could be an interesting matchup against a guy like Travis Brown. I also spoke to my boy Samson Styles again about Stefan Struve. He had some interesting things to say about that.
And this guy, Stefan Struve, I mean, he's like a fucking noodle. This dude is like 6'11". Who the fuck beat somebody's ass at 6'11"? You gotta bring him down. The motherfucker got a reach that's like from here from New York to Jamaica. I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen with this one, man.
Well, it looks like Samson is clearly correct about his reach advantage, but it didn't quite work out as an advantage for Stefan Struve because he did get completely knocked the fuck out.
Well, Brian Stan, you know, I had no doubt that he was gonna, you know, I knew he was gonna win. It's Memorial Day weekend. Like, how is he gonna lose, you know?
Yeah.
And but Jorge Santiago was no joke. He ran through Japan like a hurricane, you know, like a fucking tsunami. Like
that's what people need to remember.
Yeah, and he tore through, you know, and now he was in the UFC, you know, and Brian Stan knocked him the F out, you know, and you know, Brian Stan, I think he should fight Anderson Silva, you know.
Yeah,
I think skip everything, but I know you have different thoughts, but I think Brian Stan's the number 2 in the middleweight division. I'll go out on a limb and say that. At
the very least, he needs to see the winner of Vitor Belfort, Akiyama, or when Sonnen comes back. I think Mayhem Miller and Bisping, who are going to be the coaches of the Ultimate Fighter Season 14. That fight's too far away. I think he needs something sooner. So I'd say the winner of Akiyama Belfort, which will almost certainly be Vitor Belfort. So look at maybe Vitor Belfort against Stan, or if Vanderlei beats Lieben,
okay,
maybe he gets Vanderlei. But I agree. I immediately thought it. I think a lot of people did with the power that Stan has, the resiliency that he has. Man, if Anderson Silva sticks around for a few more fights, you know, after he fights Akiyama and whatnot, we could see Stan fighting.
Yeah,
you know?
I wouldn't count my boy Sexyama out though. You know,
yeah.
He's tough. You know.
Yeah. Got a nice tan too, kind of like this guy.
Sexy.
All right, let's do Clay Guida. And he did say the thing about Samson said again. Yes. Okay. Also talked to my boy Samson about Brian Stan, and he had this to say about him.
Now, Brian Stan, you got to think about it. Ex-Marine, fucking jarhead, tough guy. Knocks motherfuckers out. So, I don't know, 9 out of 10, if he wins, it's definitely going to be a knockout.
Samson was absolutely correct about that, and it was indeed a total fucking knockout. So on the undercard, we had Miguel Torres versus Demetrius Johnson. What's up with little Mighty Mouse, man?
The Mighty Mouse is a bad man. Like I said he was gonna win by decision. You know, like he just out hustles everyone.
That's his deal. Speed demon.
But I'm looking forward to when they put in the 125 division, because I think him and Joseph Benavidez would be a badass fight.
Yes, no doubt about it. Interesting to note that, you know, in calling him the Mighty Mouse, I used to think it was just because he was a small guy and he was, you know, strong. Right. But interestingly enough, did you notice that his cauliflower ears have protruded outward and he actually looks literally like a fucking mouse?
No, I didn't notice that.
Check that shit out.
Yeah, well.
So going forward, we got a couple of fights that we'll talk about before we wrap it up. We have Clay Guida and your boy
Anthony Showtime Pettis.
Going at it.
Yeah, but you know, I love Pettis. You know, he had that crazy ass kick.
Absolutely.
But I think Guida wins.
I think Guida might actually be able to out-hustle him as well. And then look at if Jim Miller gets past Ben Henderson, maybe Jim Miller fights, you know, Clay Guida, something like that. We'll see. There's no shortage of incredible matches up in the lightweight division.
I'm really big on Jim Miller.
Me too. He's the man.
I think.
It's also because he's from Jersey.
Of course, but I think Jim Miller, like, he's really evolved as a fighter, and he's a strong dude, you know.
No doubt.
And I would love to see him fight Gray Maynard or Frankie Edgar.
Fuck
you know?
yeah, absolutely. And then going forward, June 11th, I believe it is, we have Dos Santos versus Carwin.
Ooh.
Man, where is that going to go?
I'm going Carwin. I think Carwin knocks him out.
I'm hoping that happens, but Dos Santos, with his cardio and with his speed, it's going to be an incredible fight. That's the bottom line. And I've said it once, I'll say it again. If Dos Santos ends up the heavyweight champion, I think Carwin will at some point too, and I think it's going to be a revolving cast of a few guys, because even including Brock, the four of those guys are all badasses. Even though, I mean, we don't like Brock.
Yeah, I think Brock's done. I don't.
You don't think he's going to come back?
I think if he does come back, I don't think he's going to come back. But if he does come back, you know, he's going to get owned. You know, and I think Frank Mir is going to welcome him back, and you know, maybe, you know, fuck him up, you know?
Yeah, I hear you.
I just don't see him coming back from a disease like that.
Yeah, diverticulitis.
You know, he hasn't been training, you know, and he put, you know, if he comes back, we'll see him in the WWE, you know.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, fighting The Rock.
Probably better suited for that anyway.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. This is, I believe, the episode 6, I believe, of MMANYC.
Yeah.
So
there'll be more to come.
More to come. Be tuning in for us after you know, most UFC pay-per-view events. Now that Zuffa has Strikeforce, we'll hopefully be catching up on some Strikeforce stuff. So yeah, we'll be catching y'all on the flip-flop. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace.